The Politics program brought to you as always by TakePoliticsSeriously.com. TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Guys, we've had a great month. We'd like to do an even better month. Want to know why? Because we're working harder for you. That's why. If you have enjoyed our interviews, well, I would encourage you to go on over to TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Had a new one up on Tuesday. That seems to be the day that we are looking to post them. This one was all about how the machinations of journalism have evolved and why the political obsession has not only made some of them worse, they have kind of provided a panacea to some. It's a great conversation if you like or are frustrated by news media. Everybody who's like, oh, the news media is too liberal, this will explain it to you a little bit why there's a value to covering Trump the way that they do, and also just some of the larger challenges about how journalism works. If you enjoy it when I get into journalism nerd mode, folks, this is that to the nth degree. Go check that out in the feed, and if you like it, go ahead and reward us at TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Remember, $3 a week gets you 3 news podcasts, one on Monday and one on Friday. That's not even including the interview. Well, enough of talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics. Yes. Come on, come on, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Politics back at you. We got a lot to talk about. We've got Mitt Romney news. Yeah. We've got updates on the 2020 race, Brexit news. We've got your emails. We got a pole dance for you. We got a lot. But I do have to ask a very simple question, because this is something that we are going to begin the show with. Folks, guys, I know that we've talked about it before. I know that it's something that's on your mind. I know that it's something that you guys have thought of, but I do have a very specific question for you, and it is very simply this. Did somebody forget their mittens? Because he didn't forget you. Mitt Romney continues to bless us. Bless up, Mr. Romney. Bless up, Senator Romney. He has given us the following video. It was his birthday. So by the way, please, a big happy birthday to Mitt Romney. But his staffers decided that they were going to get for him a birthday cake. They were going to make sure that he had the best birthday cake that he could have. And that, of course, is one made of his favorite substance. Apparently, his favorite snack is a Twinkie. And so they went and got him a Twinkie cake. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is his staff bringing in his Twinkie cake here on his birthday. I will do my best to narrate what is happening for everybody who is listening here to the podcast. But this is a gigantic, it's a huge cake stand, and for each candle, which I assume corresponds to how old he is. Somebody look up for me how old Mr. Mittens is. But there we go. Being brought into a Senate office
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dears.
Oh, there's Mitt. He's having such a good time. He does look genuinely touched. I will say this. Mittens is emoting. He looks like the proud grandfather that he is. He's so excited that his staff took the time and effort. This is a fairly complicated cake. That motherfucker is 72? Oh, my God. For real? Mitt Romney is 72? Didn't he box Evander Holyfield like 3 years ago? Dude, Mitt Romney is life goals. Mitt Romney has a full head of hair and apparently eats Twinkies on a level that his entire staff thought that it would be great to make a cake out of it. He looks amazing. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. 72? 72. This is taking a totally new turn. I am taking the podcast in a shocking direction. We're not going to talk about Joe Biden's 1988 campaign. We're not going to talk about anything else politically motivated. Oh my God, 72. I hope that 72-year-old man never sees this because he could whip the living crap out of me. That's a sentence I didn't think that I was going to say today, and yet here I am. So I'm going to tread lightly as we speak of Mr. Mittens, but he looks very, very grateful as his staff has brought in this cake.
Hey, you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my goodness. What I've always wanted.
He's making away around the desk now.
That's fantastic.
He is admiring his Twinkie cake. Everybody seems very happy. This does seem like a fairly happy staff. Granted, you know, it's early. You've yet to have a lot of the big crunches that would normally get people annoyed with it, with Senator Romney. But everybody does seem to be very, very happy, wishing the boss an old happy 72nd birthday.
Wow. What are you guys going to have?
Oh, a little joke, but no, wait, hold on. What is he doing here? He's reaching over, and you would think maybe he would grab, because the Twinkies are all, just in case you have not seen this video, the Twinkies are all straight up. You might think Twinkie cake, and you would think that they were all laid side by side like Lincoln logs. No. They are all upwards like Stonehenge. So he's reaching out to the cake, and I would think maybe he would remove a Twinkie. But no, he's reaching toward the candles.
Look at this.
Wait a minute. He just reached over, picked up a candle, and then blew out the candle. And now he's blowing out each candle individually. Just listen to the nervous laughter of his staff.
Don't burn yourself.
These are all wishes I'm getting. All these wishes.
Paige made it.
He
Paige
keeps
designed it.
He keeps blowing out the candles. Things are a little quieter now, so much so that one of the staffers had to volunteer who made the cake, so the silence wasn't so awkward.
No, really?
It's beautiful.
Are you kidding? Paige, did you do this? You are sick.
Oh, there we go. You want to know what? He's back. He's back. Grandpa Romney's back, making great grandpa jokes.
Not the first time I've heard that.
Goodness gracious.
And so now he has gotten tired of blowing them out, and he is just squeezing the flames out with his fingers.
Look at this. Wow.
He's not even blowing them out anymore. He is literally just squeezing the flames with his fingers. Mitt Romney, Mittens. This is something that I have no idea. I have no idea whether or not I am weirded out, whether or not I'm impressed. I know I'm impressed by the fact that I learned that he's 72. I would have, honestly, that dude looks 56. He looks damn near 20 years younger than he really is. That is insane. Insane. So here's my question to all of you. Is it weird to pull out each individual candle and blow it out? Because I've apparently gotten word from Scott Johnson, my friend at the Frog Pants Network, whose show I appear on every Tuesday, the morning stream. He says it's not weird at all. That it is a common thing that specifically during cold and flu season, you don't blow all over the cake. I mean, really? Anybody else heard of that? Is that a thing? Do I not know? Have I been living the grossest possible life? Because I have a March birthday. I think that's during cold and flu season. So I'm sneezing. I'm blowing out all my candles and just spreading my germs all over this cake. Although maybe at 72, he's just taking a little precautions. You're like, look, I might look like I'm a 50-year-old and I literally boxed Evander Holyfield, because I don't give a rat's patoot if you are like play boxing Evander Holyfield. I don't know a 70-year-old that would play box Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield could still knock somebody the hell out and might do it by accident. I would not spar with Evander Holyfield at the ripe young age of 36, which is what I am now. I'm literally half of Mitt Romney's age. I'm just realizing that right now. Two of me is a Mitt Romney. I am sure that I am absolutely blown away by that. Oh my God. Here's something else that I'm sure of. Joe Biden's going to screw this up. I'm just saying it right now. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Joe Biden will screw this up. Now, you might be asking, what is this? What is this? This is the fact that he is the leading candidate. He is the leading candidate in the 2020 Democratic primary by a consensus of all the polls. And we'll have one of those polls a little bit later in this show. He is leading in Iowa. He is either leading or in a very close second in New Hampshire. And it would seem that he is the front runner. But I am guaranteeing you this right now. Joe Biden will screw this up. And I will firm up my argument with facts and logic. Yes, friends, let's go ahead back in time to 1988. Going back in time. Oh my God, there's so many things that are different here in 1988. Look at all those acid wash jeans. Oh, man. Well, look at this. It's Joe Biden running for the 1988 Democratic presidential nomination, the first time that he ever did. He formally declared his candidacy at the Wilmore train station on June 9th, 1987. He was attempting to become the youngest president since John F. Kennedy. When the campaign began, he was considered a strong candidate because of his moderate image, his speaking ability on the stump, and his appeal to baby boomers. He also had a high-profile position as the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee at the upcoming Robert Bork Supreme Court nomination hearings. He also had a tremendous fundraising appeal. Guys, Mitt Romney raises that coin. You want to know how? Well, I mean, like, dig this figure here in 1987. Joe Biden raised $1.7 million in the first quarter of 1987. Ooh. Those are Biden bucks, baby. $1.7 million. People are going to spend that at Pizza Ranch in Iowa, by the way, in 2019. But let's go back to 1987. That was enough for number one in all candidates. So you might think, wait a minute. Justin, if he was set up so well back in 1987, like, did I miss something? Was Joe Biden president already? How could somebody coming in such a strong position not become president? Huh. You want to know what? If you're not familiar with this Democratic primary, then I could assume what you guys are thinking. You're like, well, you want to know what? Primaries are hard. Maybe he picked the wrong position. Maybe he just ran against a stronger No, he ran against eventual Democratic nominee Michael Dukakis. Oh, yeah, Michael Dukakis got his ass kicked. Well, so it wasn't like a super strong candidate. It wasn't really an issue thing either. It seems like he was probably even a better position issue-wise. I wonder what happened. I wonder what cost Joe Biden that nomination.
Thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university? Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
People in Britain would have been familiar with those words. They heard the same ones in a political commercial from Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Why am I the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university? Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations?
Biden saw the Kinnock commercial and evidently loved it.
Was it because they were weak? Those people who could work 8 hours underground and then come up and play football? Weak?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football for 4 hours?
Biden had told other audiences he admired Kinnock, not this one. This one, he later said, he had listening in hushed silence.
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
Oh, my word. Plagiarism. The plagiarism claims came to the Biden campaign in September of 1987. Within that month, that 1 month, he was also found to have plagiarized Robert Kennedy, JFK, and Hubert Humphrey. There was also a thing about his law school that eventually got cleared up, but there was no doubt that he was lifting things from other people throughout this very early part of the campaign. But that's only one way that he totally stepped on his own penis. No, he also left the race within the same month. Those plagiarism claims hit in September of 1987, and then he was out by September of 1987. Now, I would imagine if you're Joe Biden, you're trying to become the youngest president, you think, you want to know what? It was a good shot. I'll have plenty more bites at this apple. Well, he did. He had another one after a long and distinguished career in the Senate. He ran for president again in 2008. This time he made it all the way to January. And while polling poorly in Iowa, he decided to call the eventual President Obama somebody who was clean and nice. He then also mentioned how proud he was of the burgeoning Indian American population of Delaware by saying that you could not walk into a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts without seeing an Indian immigrant. Of course, he claimed, and I believe it, that he didn't mean any of those in a racist way. He just said some racially problematic stuff. He dropped out this time, at least after Iowa. He at least made it to the Iowa caucus. I thought about all this when I was looking at the numbers, because right now Joe Biden is polling at his best while he's saying the least. So what happens when he starts talking? What happens when Joe Biden has to respond to people that are trying to throw him off his game? And what happens when somebody calls him out for something and now he has to respond? We've got an email about whether or not the Biden gaffe machine is different in the age of Trump, but don't think of it as a gaffe machine specifically. Sure, that's a part of it. And I do think that we are going to get our share of Biden gaffes, but he also may be kind of a quitter. I don't know if Joe Biden has it in his belly to stick through something that might get ugly and will almost certainly get personal. When you are the leader of a 20-person primary, then that means everyone's going to have a target on your back. And if that's the case, well, in the spirit of Joe Biden's 1988 campaign, I will give you my original thought of how I think it'll end up. That's all, folks. I want to remind everybody that you can go ahead and get my free political newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. I want to thank everybody listening. We have been fighting day in and day out against the villainous Google algorithm. And I will say to you guys, I get emails every day from you folks who are saying, we are still seeing this in our spam folder. We are still seeing this in our promotions folder. We are still seeing this in our updates folder. I need your help, even if it's in your inbox. Just go ahead and respond to anything that I have written there, or just random predictive text if you're on your phone. This tremendously helps us continue to make sure that people get this newsletter. They are working against us. Google is working against us. The algorithm is working against us, and only you can help it. If you write to me, I'm going to write to you back. We are going to prove to this algorithm that this is just a mass community mailer and not something that needs to be hoarded in the promotions jail. So thank you to everybody who has done it. If you have not, please consider helping us out. And if you haven't signed up yet, free political newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. I've seen a lot of weird crap in my day. I have. A lot of weird stuff, wild and weird stuff. But here's something that I don't think that I ever thought I would see. I didn't think I would ever live to see that Ann Coulter would become a liberal anti-hero. For real. Because apparently this is what she's doing right now. Ann Coulter has become what liberals love. They flock to. Somebody who's mean to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has, of course, been very mean to her. Ann Coulter is somebody that is there to sell books. So when Donald Trump said that wacky nut job Ann Coulter needs to understand that I'm building the wall and I'm doing my best, Ann Coulter has now responded that she wants to throw a party. She wants to celebrate Donald Trump's wall construction, which is why she is asking him to please give her the precise latitude and longitude of the wall so she can send out the party invitations. She then also wondered aloud why Donald Trump has not simply ignored her. After all, he doesn't mind ignoring the rest of his base. This is going to happen, right? Like, we're going to start seeing the liberal fans of Ann Coulter, not as somebody who agrees with them, of course. I'm not saying that people are brainwashed idiots that'll just follow the next person, but in the way that you root for Venom in a Spider-Man story, or every once in a while you have those stories where Superman and Lex Luthor are have to work together for a common cause, and you realize, like, oh, yeah, well, even if they're evil, sometimes they can be useful. Tally Zarell in our chat says it's like Godzilla. We should just let them fight. When Mothra's attacking Tokyo, then you have to wake up Godzilla so he can fight Mothra. I have to say, that is one of the weirdest ideas I think I have ever seen in my fandom of politics. Like, there are certain people that I just assume will always be specific acquired tastes for either side. I would never imagine that, like, Rush Limbaugh would be somebody that would be excited, would excite liberals. But I guess that's where we're at now. We are so polarized. We are so divided on so much that anybody who's mean to the president is at least, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Doesn't matter who they are, even if it's Ann Coulter. I need you guys to send me, if you see any, like, actually Ann Coulter might be good, please go ahead and send me those. Please go ahead and send me any kind of Vox think piece about we should maybe amplify the signal of Ann Coulter being mean to Donald Trump. Here's something else that I've actually gotten a little bit more. A few of you guys have been beginning to email me. Got a DM the other day. Hey, by the way, what do you think about Andrew Yang? Got another email. What do you think about the Yang Gang? So let me ask all of you who are listening right now. Do you know who Andrew Yang is? Are you a member of the Yang Gang? Let me ask my chat right now. Do you know who Andrew Yang is? He's running for president. I'll give you that. We have one that knows. Your man Jeff says no, sorry. He is not the Low Gang candidate. Sector 7 says yes because he lives in Iowa, so I assume everybody in Iowa knows everybody who's running for president, mostly because they personally asked if they could wash their car. So here's the deal. If you're unfamiliar with Andrew Yang, he is what we would refer to in the business as a technocrat. Technocrats are people who believe that, well, the problem here is not necessarily government and governmental solutions. It's that we're not thinking about this enough. We need bold ideas. We need to reconfigure large swaths of how we operate so we can just operate better. It is no surprise that we have spawned an entire new generation of technocrats through our Silicon Valley boom, both Web 1.0 and Web 2.0, and Andrew Yang certainly comes from that family tree. He is a serial entrepreneur, but he is running on one big idea: universal basic income. Universal basic income. He posits this bleak outlook of the future. Everybody who works with their hands, everybody who drives a truck, everybody who is currently doing a job that robots will be able to do better are about to radically lose their source of income. And it's going to happen faster than we think, and it is going to be tremendously economically destabilizing. So, if that's the case, then why don't we begin a universal basic income? That means that the government sends to your bank account $1,000 every month. That is regardless of how much money you make, regardless of how much money you don't make. You get $1,000 to your bank account every single month. Now, he's also got a bunch of other big ideas, but this is something that he has made a name for himself. But it's not necessarily his idea that's gotten people talking. He is a serial podcast guest. Hey, Andrew. Come on. We can talk. He has also just crossed the 65,000 donation limit, which means he will now be eligible for the Democratic debates. He has not polled in a particularly impressive fashion, but he seems to be somebody that, at least amongst certain meme lords, is exciting. This is the center of this Vox.com story, is that highlighting all the memes. He apparently seems very popular on 4chan, where a lot of people who don't work are excited that they could get paid to not work. And that this kind of existential issue is something that could be an alternative to Trumpism. A place where many of the 4chan faithful had gone before. I tell you all this because I want to make an admission. I don't know how seriously I should be taking Andrew Yang. Not because I don't like big, exciting candidates, but the central tenet of this program is I want to tell you who is doing well, who is doing not well, who is winning, and who is likely to win. We are in a very speculative period right now where we are a little far away from the Iowa caucus, which happens in January of next year. We still don't have all of our front runners entered the race. We haven't even had the traditional Iowa State Fair parade of pictures of candidates eating tremendously phallic-looking foods, including corn dogs and corn cobs. But if Andrew Yang isn't polling in any kind of meaningful way, then how seriously should I take him? But then there's this voice in the back of my head. There's this voice in the back of my head, and it says, Jury, didn't you think about Bernie that same way? Didn't you think he was just an old crazy coot screaming about a bunch of stuff that nobody was interested in? And you were like, well, sure, he's got a dank meme stash on Facebook, but the mainstream will never be excited for him. Which then led me to this thought. Are memes the new precursor for political viability? Is it first we have memes and then we have support, and then with support we have electability? He's a rich guy. He can afford to stay in this for a little bit, and he can try to make this an issue if he wants. But I need your opinion. I need your guys' opinion. I need you to email in theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Tell me whether or not you guys want me to take Andrew Yang seriously. He'd be more fun to take seriously He might be the only person running for president that would do an interview on this show. But should I take Andrew Yang seriously, or are you guys going to be like, all right, enough? Like, unless you're going to cover Inslee and Hickenlooper, then get out of here with Andrew Yang. Yeah, Big Deal Gams is already telling me, why are you wasting your time with Andrew Yang? I guess maybe I'm trying to practice my own universal basic attention. So consider this my $1,000 of podcast airtime for Andrew Yang. I will wait and see whether or not you guys believe this is a program that should continue its way into the next week. But for now, let's begin one of our hot news segments here on the Politics program. It's the parade of wrong opinions. Hey, things are going really great for Theresa May.
Wrong!
This Brexit is so smooth.
Wrong!
You know, it was really worth it for Pelosi to say that Trump wasn't worth impeaching.
Wrong!
I'm sure nobody will have a problem with that.
Wrong!
It doesn't exacerbate Pelosi's problems with the freshman Dems.
Wrong!
Did Marco Rubio correctly identify that German dam that collapsed in Venezuela?
Wrong!
If you guys don't know this one's actually really good. My boy, Marco Rubio. He had himself a time on Twitter. He has been really covering this Venezuela situation. If you're not aware, Caracas has been in darkness for, I think, 72 hours now. But Marco Rubio got to the bottom of it. He tweeted out, today another transformer explosion at the German dam in Bolivar State caused another massive blackout. The result, critically ill patients have died, and the Caracas Metro remains out of service. Few, if any, flights have arrived or departed from Caracas within 24 hours. He then received another tweet that said, Senator Marco Rubio, an important point, the transformer exploded in Bolivar and then, in part, collapsed the Venezuelan electric system. However, it was not a dam, much less a German one. My name is German Dam, and I'm just one of the journalists who published the information.
Wrong!
Hey, I'm glad the House Democrats are getting along, though.
Wrong!
Kind of getting along.
Wrong!
Can agree on condemning anti-Semitism.
Wrong!
The CEO of Apple Computers is Tim Apple.
Wrong!
Elizabeth Warren is going to boycott Facebook, Amazon, and Google because they're too powerful.
Wrong!
She'll use them less.
Wrong!
We mentioned on the PX3 Extra show that Elizabeth Warren is now looking to break up big tech, break up Amazon, break up Facebook, break up Google. But of course, she's not going to stop using them because they are really effective tools. They might be overpowered tools. In fact, she got into a little bit of a scrape with Facebook because she was posting Facebook ads about why Facebook is too powerful, and then her Facebook ads got pulled because it was using the Facebook logo. Facebook then realized that Facebook shouldn't censor criticism about Facebook, specifically when it created a whole nother 24-hour life cycle for that story And so they put her ads back on. I think that was a right move by Facebook.
Wrong!
All right, here we go. I think I got this one. Right now. I know for sure that I've done some reading and I understand exactly how to explain this week the Canadian Trudeau scandal.
Wrong!
Okay. Well, how about this one? We are going to begin our most exciting segment that we have here on the program. For those of you who are new, I know we have a new viewer right here. Just so you know, if you're a new listener to this program, this is how on the Politics podcast we like to handle data science. These are polls that come in. They give us little snapshots of how the nascent 2020 primary is unfolding. So, with that in mind, we have to understand that the poll we are about to read has a lot of people in it. We can't read all of them, not in the way that we like to do it. So we're going to have a new little pre-show to this, and that is a little something I like to call outside the club. These are people that did not make our top 6 and therefore will not be read during our poll dance segment. And so I would like to say Inslee, Gillibrand, Gabbert, Castro, Hickenlooper are all tied with 1%, and Klobuchar has 3%. Unfortunately,
I don't see how you can hate from outside of the club. You can't even get in.
that leads us to the main card. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this reading of a morning consult poll. It is our poll. Dance. Stepping up first to the stage, he hasn't announced, but he's made his presence felt. Ladies and gentlemen, with 7% of the vote, let's give a big round of applause to Beto O'Rourke. You want to know what? He skipped the line because he only has 4%, but let's give a big round of applause to the man from Newark, your senator from New Jersey. 4% of the vote goes to Cory Booker. Also with 7% of the vote, she apparently has a years-long feud with Joe Biden. She will soon only be able to post on MySpace. She is, with 7%, Elizabeth Warren. But now to your top 3. 10% of the vote goes to the senator from California with her crazy multicolored coat, Kamala Harris. But your headliners, with 27% of the vote, he's the originator of the dank meme stash. He is Bernie Sanders. And with 31% of the vote leading all vote getters, he is the former vice president, the former senator from Delaware, the former guy who ripped off anybody who made a political speech in 1987, Joe Biden. That is your lineup. O'Rourke 7, Booker 4, Warren 7, Harris 10, Sanders 27, and Biden 31. That gives Joe Biden the 7-point spread. He's going to fuck it up. All right, let's go ahead and get into but your emails. That is where you can go ahead and email into the show. Send it to theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Chris writes, a Politico article about a GOP group's preemptive ad campaign against Beto O'Rourke said it, quote, reflects a fear that he would mobilize the millennial and suburban voter if he were the nominee. While I agree with you that Beto and most others are not likely to have a realistic shot at the nomination, with so disparate a field, do you think that the Democrats can coalesce enough around the final nominee with a message other than not Trump to mobilize voters in swing states? Look, if a Democrat could flip Texas, that would be gigantic. It would fundamentally reorganize the map. And the map is what you need to think about if you're running for president. Beto O'Rourke just lost a statewide race. People in Texas that I talked to, and this was only reinforced after spending time there last week, aren't the biggest supporters of Beto. I don't know how many people that were hardcore do or die Beto would vote for him again in Texas. That to me is not a great sign. To your larger question, Chris, do I think that people will coalesce around one nominee? History would say they'll coalesce around one nominee about as much as the Republicans coalesced around John McCain when he ran against Barack Obama, which is to say, yes, and not as much as you would hope. Glenn writes, a hot take on your hot takes. Sanders in 2016 got a lot of support from anti-authoritarians, period. If you look at the political spectrum in a two-axis rather than a one-axis view, I personally saw a lot of support, both outright and grudgingly, given to Sanders, as he was the most non-authoritarian of any of the candidates from either party. He ran on non-identity politics and, for the most part, was rather moderate on a lot of social issues, including guns. I'm actually seeing a lot of movement from libertarians moving from a far-right stance to a more moderate stance that is more concerned about market failure than it is about shrinking government to where it can be drowned in a bathtub, including outsized power of private corporations, especially in finance and technology, cough, Twitter, cough. Because of that, he does get some trust outside the Democratic Socialist circles, that he would be a decent president if kept in check with a moderate Congress. That is the origin of the Bernie Bros meme, as people did not like that he got this support, and he should distance himself from it. I think that the 2020 Democratic primary, these up-down access differences are going to define the debate, not left and moderate. I agree and disagree, Glenn. I think that the biggest issues that we're going to see in the 2020 primary and 2020 specifically, and what we might be moving to as the new normal in politics, is have an idea first. The idea that you're an all-weather Ken doll or Barbie doll that you take off the shelves that is meant to appeal to a broad base means less than it ever has. Now you need to bring a big idea. You need to say, I'm the candidate that does blank. And then hope that blank is more popular than the other blanks. And then your job then is to say, okay, but then also this, and this. But you have to start with a take. You have to start with a position. Say, I'm going to do this. The all-in, well, maybe you're a moderate, right? We were having a conversation like this in the Discord today, and you can join our Discord at bit.ly/jurydiscord. It's a great place to reasonably talk about politics. But Big Jim, one of the greatest emailers of all time, who oftentimes is our trade expert, was saying, I just want a moderate. But here's the problem with saying you're a moderate. You ain't got no big take. You have to find what the moderate big take is. If you were the I'm going to balance the budget guy, then you could say, all right, look at all the people that are hurt by an unbalanced budget. Look at all the waste that we are giving away. I'm going to make sure that every day on my Twitter account, I show somebody who is horrifyingly wasteful. I'm going to throw them to the lions in social media, and I'm going to say only I can fix this. Because that is a moderate position that I'm going to make a big issue. I don't know if some of the candidates here, including Joe Biden, has the one issue in the same way that Bernie has the one issue. I think we should be socialists. That's his issue. Capitalism is broken. We should replace it. That's his issue. It's bold. It's big. It's Noah's Arcade. Ken the Canadian writes, I get how this Trudeau scandal is confusing, so I'll try to make it as simple as I can. Trudeau, in a typically woke bay move, hired a First Nations, and I'm going to be very, very, very contrite here when I say that in all the stories I've heard about First Nations, I initially thought First Nations was a political party in Canada. What I have found out after reading so many of these stories, not knowing what the hell was happening, is that First Nations basically means a Native Canadian. What used to be referred to in a politically incorrect time as an Indian, right? So woke Bay Trudeau hired a First Nations woman into his cabinet. We go on from Ken the Canadian. She was a woman with convictions as the Minister of Justice, instead of your typical toe-the-line white male politician. Well, SNC Lavalin is a large, corrupt AF construction and engineering company. Think about how they've been busted for bribes and stuff. They lobby heavily and bid on federal jobs. SNC Lavalin is under criminal investigation by the Mounties for, among other things, sending hookers to Gaddafi's son, and companies under investigation can't bid for federal contracts. This would cost Quebec a bunch of jobs. Blah, blah, blah. Legal loophole if Minister of Justice is willing to play along. She's not. Allegedly, Trudeau pressured her to play along. She warned him. He continued to pressure, which is an ethical breach and possibly illegal. My take is that Trudeau's desire to appear woke was his undoing. If you're trying to appear woke while playing the same old game, it's going to bite you in the ass. All right. I think that I finally understand the Trudeau scandal.
Wrong!
Oh, it's not even that segment. James writes, I haven't heard you rail on Biden gaffes so much for national campaigns. I feel like you're still living in a pre-Trump era. Gaffes in the era of Trump don't matter as much as how you handle them. You have said it yourself. Authenticity matters. Biden has always felt authentic, but sometimes stumbled over his words. That feels more acceptable now? Maybe? Yeah, James, but when Biden screwed up in the past, as I just showed in this episode, He quits. That's the opposite of what Trump did. What Trump did was say, hey, you're all talking about me more? Great. I'm going to keep running. And finally, Frank writes, I'm not on Twitter these days, or I would have just tweeted this to you, but in the never-ending wait for the Mueller report, Barnes & Noble may have the scoop. March 26, 2019. It'll be a mass market book format, allegedly. So I would think that we'd seen it sooner than that. See below, your Patreon pal, Frank. Now, Frank, what you sent along was indeed a listing for a Barnes & Noble publishing of the Mueller report with Frank Dershowitz as the foreword. The publisher has now said that this is a placeholder date, but I'm going to bury this one right there at the end of the show. This afternoon, I got an email from somebody that has never attempted to feed me this stuff before. And they definitely know a lot of people both in the media and in Washington, D.C. And that person told me, oh, did I say, Alan? Is it Alan Dershowitz? It's Alan Dershowitz, isn't it? All right. That person told me that the Mueller report is dropping tomorrow. It might be today from when you listen to this. March 14th. They say it's dropping then. If that were the case, then it hitting bookshelves on March 26th would not be out of the question. So this listing got destroyed as being fake. But maybe, it's not so fake after all.
Politics, 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 politics.
That about wraps it up for us today. You can, of course, email theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. Follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere, including Snapchat and Instagram. You can download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. And remember, sign up for my 5-day-a-week, 5-story-a-day, mostly gifts, some hot takes newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. The foreword to the Mueller report is not written by Adam Duritz. Mr. Jones and me write each other Mueller notes, and we wonder about Cohen and Manafort, and if they colluded with Russia. Well, he leaks it while Julian Assange posts emails. They're suddenly readable, and we all like emails readable. Man, I wish I was readable. All right. Some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. Still more talk about politics. This is the only show that talks about all three.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.